Hello, this is Group 4's presentation on Elden Ring. Here we have the main character of the game. His name is Tarnished, and he's basically a warrior who returns from the lands between to reclaim the Elden Ring and become ultimately the Elden Lord. And he has to do this by defeating all these powerful bosses and enemies. Here we have the Tarnished class, and this represents the main playable character in an RPG style system. So by default, the Tarnished starts off with 100 health, 3 flash charges, a starter sword, and a mount. The class is built around key attributes like name, health, sword, mount, runes, flash charges, and healing percent. This is all critical for the gameplay progression. And then we have several core methods here. So we have attack, which simulates combat by dealing 15 to 25 random damage. We have heal, which uses a flask to restore health if charges are available. Add ruins and spend ruins handle the in-game currency system. Upgrade flask increases the healing efficiency, and then upgrade weapon prepares the system for future weapon improvements. And then finally, we have display stats that outputs all current character stats. And then so for flexibility and clean code, we did have some setters and getters available. This is for managing the ruins, health, and flask properties, just to allow easy adjustments and interactions within the game itself. And to give an overall for the Tarnished class, it basically lays the foundation for a functional and expandable RPG character system. It closely does mirror the spirit of Elden Ring, but it also stays modular for future upgrades and features. Introducing the side quest characters. So first off, we have Iron Fist Alexander. Then we have Ronnie the Witch. And lastly, we have Sorcerer Rogier.
Here we have Ronnie the Witch quest. So basically, she's introduced in the beginning, where she will ask a player to join her. If the player accepts, he will have to find a lost flask of health in a maze. And then when the player gets to the maze, there are three entrances on the left, the right, and forward. The player must choose the correct entrances to find the flask. And if the player does find the flask, uh, he will be given the flask. And also, like the next part of the quest is also to find Rajier.
Here we have Rogier Riddle Request Flask Upgrade. So this quest is displayed within the main function or the main method inside of our code. So basically, here Rogier gives the player a riddle. I am always hungry, I must always be fed. The finger I will touch soon turn red. What am I? So then the user will input the answer, and if it is fire, then the answer is correct, and it increases the flask healing from 36% to 50%. And obviously, if the player gets it wrong, no bonus is granted and the quest ends.
So here we have Alexander's side quest, which is a mini boss fight that follows after Rajir's quest. And then in this quest, we just basically just have to fight Alexander, and after you win, he will give you 100k runes. And then he'll actually ask you to seek out Hugh, which is a master smithsman, who will upgrade your sword, which gets you ready for the boss fight that's ahead. The battle class is the most important aspect of the whole project. So it's like a turn-based attack where the player will attack for a certain amount of damage, which is random, and then we can either choose to heal for our next attack or attack. But then the enemy or the boss will attack us for random damage, and it will also display how much health we have, how much the boss dealt to us, and how much the boss has left. So we can either choose to heal, which will choose the which will take away the remaining flash left. We only have three charges. So if we don't have any more charges, it will say no charges left. And then once we do heal, we can either choose to attack again, and if the boss health is below 50, it will enter the second stage, which their attack becomes double. So after that, if we beat the boss, it will show us like a screen saying we beat the boss, and then choose on to go to the next boss, and then so on. This is the battle class, which is the most important like whole aspect of the game. So it's like a sequence type of battle. So it starts off with you attacking or healing, but most likely you will attack since your HP is already at 100. And then once you do attack, it will display the information of how much damage you dealt, how much the how much the boss health has, and how much your health has. And then the boss will attack you. And then once the boss's health is below 50, that's when it will trigger the second phase, which their attacks becomes double. And also, once you do win the battle, your health goes back to zero. Well, not zero. Your health goes back to 100 for the next battle, and also your flask goes back to 3 charges. And also your weapon upgrades. So in the next battle, your attacks becomes more.
Introducing the bosses.
Here we have the boss class, which is a base class that is used to define the characteristics of the boss character, such as their name, their HP, the min and max damage. We also have abstract methods such as get random damage that's supposed to get a random damage between the min damage and the max damage, and also if the boss class enters the second phase.
For starters, I worked on the Margit and Rodon boss classes that the user has to fight in order to win the quest. This is my this is the code for the Margit boss class, which is a subclass of the main boss that it extends. There is a default constructor with the name of the boss that is being fought, as well as the minimum and maximum damages. There is a random number that is used to plug into these initial minimum maximums in order to calculate the next minimum maximums for the next phase to be fought, and then after that, 10 and 5 are added to the minimum maximum damages. Next, I will be talking about the Star Scrooge Rodon boss class, which is also fought in 2 phases. This code is very similar to the Market boss class with the villains that are being fought, with the exception of how many points they are, because the Rodon boss is played further on in the game and is more advanced. It has more minimum and maximum damages compared to the Market boss class. And here is a quick overview of a sample piece of code that I use to test the boss classes for Margaret and Rodon. Using a random number, the boss class Margaret earns a damage of 13. After after second phase, it becomes 19, and then the Rodon starts at 110, gets a damage of 25, and after the second phase is at 29.
I will be talking about the Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, and its boss class. So I'll be talking about the class Godfrey, which extends from the boss, where we have its base stats Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, with the max HP of 140, and its min and max damage. And then here's the where it calculates the max damage or the amount of damage. And then we have its second phase, which then comes with its dialogue. I've given the courtesy enough, which is exactly from the game. And then we have its new min max damage. I'll next be talking about Radugon of the Golden Order and also its boss class. Now, I will then speak about Radugon, which again extends from the boss, with Radugon of the Golden Order, which has a max stat or base stat of 120 HP and its min max damage for its second phase. We again have the calculation for the get random damage, and then we have its second phase, which it does, which is true. And Radugon's body cracks as he enters the second phase. Divine light radiates as he channels the Golden Order's might from the in-game dialogue, and then his new min and max damage 25 and 35.
The goal of this game, as stated before, is to become the Elden Lord. Finally, we want to include a test run trial of the game just so you can see that the code does function correctly. The rest of the code will obviously be found in the GitHub final iteration, but we hope you enjoy playing our game. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful rest of your day.